I saw Michael. Yes, Michael the movie. And when I tell you that I wasn't ready for this, I wasn't ready. Stick around as I tell you and give you my honest review of the movie.
A sweet old auntie. Thank you, subscribers, to my nieces and nephews, and all the y'all who have been here through the long haul. Shall we get into it? Oh, yes, we shall. It's time for Auntie's advice. Sweet old. It's time for Auntie's advice. Oh, yeah. It's time for Auntie's advice.
Come on in, y'all. Come on in as I give you all my honest review of Michael. If this is your first time being here, hi. My name is Auntie of Auntie's Advice. Here we go live so that you go live with me downtown in the comments section. Oh my goodness. Go ahead on and hit that subscribe button if you love what I'm saying over here. But honey, we have got to talk about Michael. Now listen. Before we even get into this movie, Michael, before the casting, before Hollywood got involved, this didn't start with the cameras, y'all, or any red carpet. I believe that this started with a problem, right? The problem was nobody in Hollywood could solve this. Who in the world is going to play Michael Jackson and not make this look ridiculous or like a joke? So behind the scenes, okay, I got my little notes. Okay, I'm be reading from my notes. Hey everybody, I can't see y'all, okay? But I will highlight your comments later on. So look, behind the scenes, you got Graham King. He's the same man who brought Bohemian Rhapsody, sitting on the rights to this story for years. He was quiet, he was patient, and he was waiting because he already knew, child, that this had to be done right or not done at all. So, look, let me go ahead and take me a little pause because before this even becomes a movie, you have to understand the story that they are trying to tell. They are trying to tell the story about the most influential superstar, in my opinion, this planet has ever seen. Ever seen. So, let's start with Michael Jackson and MTV. Okay? Because this is where everything changed. But before I start there, let me just say we ended up, one of my friends is the event planner coordinator. And I had a couple of things that I needed to do today and did not think that I was going to have the opportunity to go when she sent out the invite. But I am so glad I cashed app her. We rented out an entire theater and we packed it out. When I say we packed it out, I was sitting up on the top seats and all the way up. Okay, now with my bad knees and my bad eyes, I'm coming into a semi lit theater. I must say she did a great job with letting us know all the theater rules. She had the time coordinated correctly. Everybody came in with their snackadoodles except for me, but I ended up bumming a box of Raisinette off for somebody. Thank you, Dougie. And it was just, the atmosphere was fired up already for us, and with just great anticipation. So when I say that this had to be done right or not done at all, that's what I mean. This had to be done right. A lot of us in there grew up in the Michael Jackson era. We was teenagers at the same time. We were young adults at the same time. And then we were adults at the same time as the Jacksons, right? So we grew up with them thinking they was our brothers and sisters and cousins, long distance cousins. You know, if you saw somebody on the street back in the day, you know, you had to at least say you was, you know, kin to one of them, or you knew one of them in your in your lifetime. Okay, so I'm coming from that era when Michael Jackson was a little boy. We had just gotten really color televisions, okay, and we could see, you know, the stuff in living color. As they grew up, we grew up with him. And so I don't care what nobody say. Auntie's gonna give you the honest review. You make sure you send this out to your friends. But anyway, so look, one of the things that I found out during this movie is that back in the days, MTV was not checking for Michael Jackson or people that look like him. Their whole vibe leaned heavy into white rock artists. And Michael certainly did not fit into that category. They were not pushing people like Michael Jackson. Now, I'm going to tell you, I just learned this and just had to go and verify it. But Billie Jean is not my lover. She's just a girl who thinks that I am the one. Oh my goodness, y'all. But Billie Jean got so big, so undeniable, they had to get in line. And behind the scenes, there was pressure from the label. Once that video hit rotation, baby, the floodgates opened. That wasn't just a win for Michael. That shifted the entire industry. So now let's go inside the house because, honey, people love to debate this, but the truth has already been told. The way Joe Jackson is portrayed as a strict, intimidating, even abusive, that didn't come out of nowhere. Michael said it, his siblings said it, that fear, that pressure, that discipline, it was real. They started off the movie showing Michael and his brothers in the early days when Joe Jackson was still working a job. And in the evenings, he would get off of work and he would bring those sons together and he would make them sing to, if they did not sing right, they was getting their Joe jacked up, especially Michael. One of the things that I noticed is that the father was trying to teach Michael how to relate to an audience. He would make Michael sing out there with the brothers. The brothers would be on point, and Michael would be singing. He would always say, look at me in the face. Now, his intention was to teach Michael showmanship, making sure he connects with the crowd. But when Michael, I guess he had a resentment. In an interview, Michael indicated that his father would make him repulsive. Oh, God. Poor little Michael. But it started off as that. They showed, you know, Michael and, well, let me say, the Jackson 5. They started off showing them in different clubs and different venues. experiencing, being on stage, perfecting their craft and all that kind of stuff. So it went from the early years, and it was very interesting to see the young boys. Let me tell you, the actors was stellar. Stellar. This movie brought you in. It made you feel like you were looking through a peephole into the Jacksons family. Okay, let me stay. Okay. So Joe stood 10 toes down on what he was doing with his sons. He said he raised his kids right, kept them out the streets. And listen, two things can exist at the same time. While he did build greatness, the way he did it came with a cost to him in the end. Now, let's clear something up about the family because people get this wrong most of the time. Catherine Jackson and Joe had 10 children, but one of the twins, Brandon, passed away shortly after birth. So when people talk about the Jacksons, they usually reference the 9 kids who were raised together. And yes, that includes Janet Jackson, who was already starting right her own path during this time, whether people want to acknowledge that or not. So now let's step into the Motown scene. Berry Gordy was so phenomenal. I mean, just phenomenal. His track record alone, his ability to not only sign artists, but to give them all of the training that they needed in the background. So he was not just signing artists and sending them away. He was grooming them. He was teaching them how to perform, how to present, and how to become stars. And for young Michael, that was a training ground. They connected almost instantly. I believe that Barry stood in as a pseudo father because I think that he recognized, at least in this movie, this is what I got from it, that he recognized how strict his father was on him. And they showed, a clip of a scene of Michael and them working in the studio, and they were showing him the board, the soundboard. And his father came in and was like, basically, Michael, come on, let's go get up on out of here. I think that there was a jealousy between him and his relationship with Berry Gordy. And Berry Gordy seriously looked him in his eyes and was like, look, you could tell me anything. You can talk to me about anything. And Michael being young, and I think he understood, said, thank you, Mr. Gordy. Y'all, let me tell you, this movie will almost have you in tears, but you gotta be strong, okay? You gotta be strong so you can get through it. We saw Michael as a young boy singing, and I mean, I just was back in I was in so much awe because it took me back to when I was growing up with all of my siblings, and we would stay up late, get permission to stay up late to watch them appear on these different shows, American Bandstand, Soul Train, Curl Banana. Like, we would stay up late. It wasn't like you all where you can, get your cell phone and get to streaming and all that kind of stuff. And none of that was happening during our time of growing up in this era. And so for us to see them on any show, it was, you had to be sitting there. Later on, you got an opportunity when they came, when VCRs, some of y'all know this before y'all time, but when VCRs came into place, you could record it and everything and hope that that Soca was clear. But Berry Gordy was the training ground for not only the Jacksons, but for many stars. And he should be commended for that. So this is where we learn how to take talent and turn it into a machine, a brand, if you will. So let's fast forward to 1984 because this moment right here, the Victory Tour, Dodger Stadium, big stage, big energy. And Michael gets up there and basically tells the world, this is it. This is the last time he going to be performing with his brothers. And they did not see this coming. It just was not an announcement. This was a shift for Michael. Michael was stepping fully into who he had already become, a global superstar separate from his brothers. And I thought that it was phenomenal because we watched Michael as he began to want to be separate from the Jacksons. He knew that his destiny was to be something more. Not that he did not love performing with his brothers and being in the family group and supporting the family, but he knew that God had destined him to be something more. And there are times when we are in situation with friends, be it friends, family, or whatever, that we realize it is time for me to grow and to do something else, to stretch my wings out and fly. And this is what Michael had done. Michael was with his family for a very long time, and he knew that there was more in him. Moreover, this movie really showed Michael's loneliness, where his brothers were still able to be teens. Michael wasn't, because he was the leader of that group. Whether people want to admit it or not, there was no Jackson 5 without him. It just wasn't. There was no wealth, no home. We watched Michael when they showed Michael when he got bubbles, his little monkey. Y'all remember the monkey? We saw the little rat that he had, and he had the song out, Ben. Do y'all remember that? Ben, da 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 da. Oh my God. Y'all, this was so nostalgic. I mean, I was just shocked at how good this was done. I was shocked when I tell you every song I thought I knew the lyrics to, I was singing. The gentleman that was sitting beside me, I've been, to his plays. He's a phenomenal producer and professor. I know I got on his nerves singing. Now, my buddy that was sitting with me, okay, over downtown to the right side, we were singing and having a concert together. I saw a lot of people on TikTok dancing in the theaters. I was dancing in my chair, didn't get up and dance around because I wasn't with that kind of crowd. You understand what I'm saying? Now, if I had been with that kind of crowd, I'd have been popping it and locking it. But I maintained my composure because I understood. Okay, I understood the assignment. Auntie, sit down. You can sing in your little seat. You can't be real loud on the left-hand side, but you can on the right. Y'all, I'm trying to tell you, I wanted to dance, run down the aisles with my bad knee. Like, oh my God, like this brought back so many memories. I mean, when I tell you, it brought back good memories of my teenage years. It brought back memories of my early adult years. Like, I don't think I realized how much I miss Michael Jackson. Um, anyway, I don't want to get sentimental because I feel like that almost brought me to a tear too. Okay. Now let's talk about Beat It. Because I know some of y'all thought that it was just movie magic, but Michael in this a movie, they show where Michael brought in actual gang members from Los Angeles to be part of that video. Now, I never knew that. But, I guess, it was like the Bloods and the Crips. And he brought them together because he believed that music was a unifier. And not only not actors, these were not actors pretending to be real people, real presence, but he didn't want that anti-violent violence message to feel fake. He wanted it to hit. So he incorporated some professional dancers along with real gang members from Los Angeles to participate in Beat It. Let me tell you, I learned stuff tonight that I had never learned before. And that right there tells you how intentional Michael was about his music and about the message in the music. And he wanted everything to be authentic. He was a out of the box thinker. And I know for sure that we have some other people who have those same qualifications. We just have not seen them rise up to the surface yet. Maybe you know of someone that you believe falls in this, but Michael was all that in a bag of chips. They showed him throughout this documentary that he was a philanthropist. He was going to hospitals and stuff like that, going to see children. Like, he just was doing so much. He was more than what I believe that he was. Now, with all of that established, right, we now come back to the movie. So, but then here's what gets interesting, right? Graham looks within the family to try to find somebody to be Michael Jackson. He sits down with Jafar Jackson, Michael's own nephew. Let me bring him up to the screen. There you go. There he go. He is in the bloodline, legacy, pressure, and he asked him straight up, "Do you want to play your uncle?" And Jafar basically said, "Hell no. I'm not no actor. Hell no, absolutely not." He wasn't an actor. He didn't want to be an actor because that just won't his ministry. But something about that request didn't leave him alone. He kept pondering over it and thinking about it. And eventually, he said, "Yeah." Thank God he said yes. Because when I tell you that he did a phenomenal job, phenomenal job. He is right after he said no and he started thinking about it, he jumped in. He tested it. He started studying Michael. He watched the footage. He started practicing Michael's movements, learning the music, working with coaches, not performing but preparing. He actually moved into the compound so that he could sit where Michael sat, so he could watch the shows that Michael watched. Like he engulfed himself in his uncle. See, I ain't gonna cry. I am not gonna cry. Like, I'm not gonna cry. And somewhere, y'all, in that process, I could tell that this stopped being about, let me try this out, and it turned into, wait a minute, I might actually be able to do this. So, that part right there, oh my goodness. This is where the story like really got personal, because before there was a finished film, before the lights, before the cameras, there was just a young man sitting there, like in his mind, I don't even know if I'm supposed to be doing this. Jafar Jackson wasn't chasing acting. He knew it wasn't his lane. He was making music, producing, minding his business. And when he sees online that Graham King got the rights to tell Michael's story, and he's looking at it just like everybody else, oh my goodness, that's going to be interesting. Not that's going to be me. And then his phone rang. And Graham is asking him questions like, have you ever acted before? And Jafar's like, no, and I don't want to. Now I know that's you right. I mean, come on, I can relate to him because some of y'all jump into anything, right? He said, if I'm doing something, I'm committing. I'm not playing around with this. I'm not testing the waters halfway. So he doesn't just say yes, he sits with it. And then this is the part that I love, y'all. He sends Graham a voice note, not a full audition, not a performance for the cameras, just him trying the voice, singing a little, stepping into Michael's persona privately without doing it publicly. And baby, that was enough for Graham to run, not walk, to Jafar. Graham called him back, y'all, immediately and was like, I'm getting you a coach tomorrow. Tomorrow. And that's when it's turned into from an idea to a process. And it was not overnight. It wasn't quick. They were talking, and he had been doing this work for 2 years. 2 years of training, studying, building, failing, trying again. First, right, he's just working on random scenes, learning how to act like his uncle, learning how to talk like his uncle, learning how to take on his persona, and then slowly they start layering into Michael Jackson material. And here's where the pressure kicks in, right? They tell him they're still doing a worldwide casting for this. Even though he didn't put all his little stuff to the side and said, okay, let me try this. I'm going to try all this training. They were still casting. They was letting him know straight up, you ain't the only option. You're the best option, but you ain't the only one. So now some people would end it right there and be like, all right, okay, well, you got somebody, I mean, whatever, but that's not how it happened with him. That actually lit the fire in Jafar. He doubled down on his practice and his rehearsing, his training. More hours, more focus, and no shortcuts. And when I tell you that it came across on that screen, and instead of going somewhere faster, he goes back to Havenhurst, the family home, the same place where Michael lived. Y'all, the same energy, the same space, excuse me, and turns it into a training camp. Now, that right there, that's not just practice. That's him immersing himself into his uncle. And that moment, in my opinion, grounded him. And it wasn't just Hollywood. It wasn't a director. It wasn't a casting call. It was his grandmother. When she hugged him and told him she was proud, that was it for him. That was all he needed to hear to keep going. Miss Catherine, played by Nia Long. She did a fantastic job. Now, the only thing that I did not like about her job was she wasn't limping enough for me. You know what I'm saying? I wanted her to like lean and like Catherine. Y'all know what I'm saying. Like I wanted her to like lean into that lip. Like lean back. Lean back. Y'all know what I'm saying? I wanted Nia to lean into it. She didn't. She did, she had a little slight one, but it wasn't Catherine. but it was close enough. Because she was phenomenal. She was great. She played her role and everything. But I mean, I just was like, okay, come on, Nia. I need you to lean a little bit more. So anyway, so let's talk about the work because this wasn't just about learning a few dance moves and calling it a day. Jafar said he had to understand the human side of his uncle, not just the performer side of him, but the man. The emotions, the pressure that he was taking, the loneliness, the creativity. He went into Michael's personal writings, into his journals, which made him go into Michael's thoughts. And this helped him to be able to think like Michael, to make decisions like Michael. And this, in my opinion, helped him to really become Michael Jackson because he tried to understand how he felt, not just how he moved on stage and Michael, the actor, but Michael, the son, the brother, the uncle. Because let me tell you something, baby. Anybody can copy a dance, but you can't fake somebody's spirit. So he built this whole timeline of Michael's life in a room, sort of what we saw when we were looking at the film of it, right? Where we would see Michael when he was creating Thriller. He had post-it notes and all kinds of lyrics and stuff like that together, and he came up with Thriller. Let me tell you, that was a bad month. Okay, it was meant for him to be lonely, and I'm a sidestep just a little bit. I'm in the process of writing a book, and I don't hang out a lot. I've never been a hangout or a lotter, right? Ever since I had my child, but now I'm in a different phase in my life where I'm writing a book, and of course, I'm doing other things as well. But I'm learning that it's in the solitude where I'm able to tap into that creativity because that's not something that I'm accustomed to doing, and so I understand him having to get out of being around people and doing normal things, right, to really immerse himself into his project. And so when they, so when I say anybody can copy a dance, but you can't fake somebody's spirit, it takes time to grow into whatever it is that you want to be and do in your life. And so him building that timeline, mapping everything out visually so he could stay grounded in every moment in order to portray Michael, it paid the off. He had to do physical work, of course, and he said that the role was very demanding for him. They threw him into a 20-day boot camp just to break down Billie Jean. Just to break down Billie Jean. A 20-day boot camp. He was talking about the ebbs and the flows of it all. He already knew that he wasn't ready, but he kept going anyway, over and over, messing up, trying again. After that, he locked himself in a room with mirrors for months. No audience, no applause, just him watching himself over and over and over and over again until he, not everybody else, until he could believe what he was seeing, until he could look in the mirror and say, okay, I don't see Jafar anymore. I'm seeing more of Michael. He was getting closer and closer. And y'all, I'm going to tell you, that's some serious discipline. In a room full of mirrors, bitch. I ain't got that to do. Ain't got that to do. And the details on Michael was too precise for you to play with. He said the shoes mattered, the floor mattered, the spin direction mattered, even the timing of when you stop on the beat, all of that mattered. This just goes to show you how much craftsmanship Michael had. just the craftsmanship of it all. He said some of his moves felt like magic, like illusions you had to break down piece by piece just to understand how it worked. And then, child, you got the costumes. Now, we may have thought that these was just clothes, but just not for Michael. The glove, the jacket, the fedora. He said all of that was armor. They showed in the movie how Michael had vitiligo and how it was more prominent on his hand, one of his hands, and that is why he wore the glove to hide the vitiligo. I didn't think that was true because there were so many rumors that were going around about Michael bleaching his skin and like that, but it was true. And that glove became famous, and to this day, people are still dressing up and impersonating Michael Jackson, and you cannot impersonate Michael Jackson without a glove. Jafar said he didn't even feel ready until he put those pieces on him. And he said it was like something shifted the moment that the wardrobe came on him and came into play because Michael didn't just dress for style, he dressed for impact, even down to how a tie would move during a spin or how a jacket lifted when he turned. They said that Michael would put a quarter in his tie so that when he spent around, the tie would land right. Everything Michael did had intention, and therefore everything that Jafar did had to be intentional as well. And when it came down to Jafar capturing the essence of his uncle, Jafar wasn't trying to copy every little thing. He just really wanted to get the essence of his uncle. And watching the footage when Michael didn't even know he was being recorded, he was studying the quiet moments, letting it sink in so deeply that it became natural to him, not forced, not performed. And there were moments where he said it didn't even feel like he was acting anymore. He said it was moments where he felt like Michael was in the room with him, child. Now you could take that for however you want, but I'm telling you, when somebody is that locked in, that focused, that committed, something shifts and it resonates with the people who are in the theater. Because for me, although I knew he wasn't Michael Jackson, I knew that they wanted to make him close like Michael Jackson in the looks, by the costume, the hair, and all of that kind of stuff. I knew that Jafar was there, if that makes sense. Now, while all that is going on, Graham is over here reaching for a heavy hitter. He reached out to Antoine Fuqua. And yes, he is the one who did Training Day. Um, and so he had to get him on board. So when he reached out to him, Antoine was like, "Oh, okay, who will I'll consider it, but who playing Michael?" And when he showed him the footage of Jafar, baby, he didn't even see Jafar. He said he felt like he was watching Michael. That's when everything locked in, y'all. Now, the machine start moving, Lion Gate steps in, the cast fills out, Nia Long as Catherine, Coleman Domingo as Joe. And let me say this right here. That right there already told me they were not playing about this film and about the casting. You got a serious director, a serious cast, and a story that carries decades of weight. Everything should have been smooth from there, but this is Michael Jackson, so nothing is ever simple. The release date started shifting, updates got quiet, then the whisper started, legal issues, limitations, things they couldn't say or show because of past agreements tied to allegations and settlements. So what happens? They pivot. Instead of them telling us the entire story of the Jacksons, they tightened it up. They focused on the beginning, the rise, and the childhood, the family, the pressure, the music. And they stopped the story around the bad era. When I tell you, when I got in my car and left my friends and said goodbye, I listened to I listened to when I say I listened to bad over and over and over until I got to my house. I mean, when I'm talking about, you know, I'm bad, you know it, and the whole world know, okay, who's bad. Let me tell you. I think I'm a player when I go to bed today. Y'all, the movie was phenomenal. When I say they went back to the old eras when they first started, oh my God, all the way up to the bed. Child, now you know they talking about a part two. And I'm gonna be right there. And I hope homegirl that's in our little crew set everything up again. Okay, I ain't gonna be reading no names out here, but I'm gonna tell you right now, honey. Next time I'm gonna be set up so I can have not just somebody else's raisinets, but I can have my goobers too. Okay, uh, y'all. When I say they didn't tell a whole story, but what they told was sufficient. They went from the rise, the Jackson 5 childhood, the family, the pressures, the butt whoopings, the rehearsing until the midnight hour. These boys, they showed one of the scenes where Joe Jackson, they had came home from school and they would eat their dinner and do, I guess, do their homework and stuff. He was like, now y'all gonna rehearse all night. I don't think they make kids obedient like that anymore. Okay, you look at social media, ain't nobody kids like that anymore. But now, that wasn't a full story. But what they did show, baby, it landed. Because Jafar didn't come in and they're doing a little tribute act. He didn't come in there moonwalking for nobody's applause. He became Michael. It wasn't gimmicky. Um, Not in that, oh, that's so cute type of way. It came in a way where people who actually knew Michael was saying it felt real. And the film leans into those personal moments, the relationship with his mother, the tension with his father, the loneliness behind all that fame. It gives you a feeling, it gives you context. But let's not play confused. It didn't give us everything. Those latter years, the controversy, the accusations, the parts people argue about to this day, that's not in this movie. And whether that was by choice or by force, that's basically what it was. Because now people are already talking about part two, a continuation of the story, something that might go deeper and address what this one couldn't do. But here's my takeaway. I'm going to say it straight up. This film was not trying to close the book on Michael Jackson, but rather it was opening it up, having those conversations, reminiscing about the good old days, especially in the place where we are now. It took me out of the environment that we're currently in. It took me back to the past and how things were good and can be good again. I think this movie reminded people where he came from, what he carried, and how he became the level of star that he was. And whether people agree with that, whether they agree with what was included or what was missing, one thing I know for sure is not changing is when Michael Jackson music hits, when those moves start, people like me is still watching. And let me tell you, when part two come out, I'm gonna be right there. Michael Jackson's life is a story that you can't rewrite. It is what it is. If you don't do anything else, like seriously, go out and look at this movie. It even went to the Pepsi years when Joe Jackson got him caught up in some stuff with Don King and Michael's hair lit on fire, and it showed Michael in a vulnerable state for something he didn't want to do anyway, but his father would not let go. And so Michael did that thing for Pepsi, and one of the staff members told him that, what he was doing wasn't enough and that they needed him to come out and pop out. And Michael comes out and pop out. And of course, some flame falls and, gets into his hair. And Michael's in the hospital and he really went through things. And it showed that Michael was not into drugs. Um, and how he didn't want it to do that. It talked about the surgery, and it also showed Michael get his freedom from the grips of his father. It showed Michael saying, I'm not working for you anymore. It showed Michael become the man that he wanted to be. And like I said, on that tour with his brothers, he got up there and blindsided his father and told everybody, this is it. I'm going out solo. This was a phenomenal man that was very, very misunderstood, I believe. I loved every bit of it. Absolutely. Let me highlight this. He truly was a genius. He truly was a genius. And maybe born before his time. I don't know. But I enjoyed Michael Jackson and watching him grow up. I enjoy watching all of them grow up. Child, I used to have a show enough crush on Tito. You couldn't tell me that I wasn't gonna meet Tito somewhere out on the sidewalk, child, and be his wife. Okay. Now I don't know why I picked him. Yes, the Pepsi commercial. I don't know why I picked him, but honey, I picked Tito of all of them. And my sister, my baby sister, she picked Randy. She could have Randy, yeah. But ain't none of us ever think that we was going to have Michael. Okay? At least we knew that much. Okay? We ain't never picked Michael. This is just my honest review. This movie is phenomenal. Okay? Weezy said Jackie was it for her. Okay? It was phenomenal. Please watch it. Take all of your perceived notions and throw that out the window. Throw all of it out the window. Go with an open mind and watch this film. It was absolutely, absolutely worth it. Um, M. McNeese said Michael was mine. Oh my goodness. Okay, Gladiola said, okay, she said, I always like Michael. Let me see. Let me move up some. Oh, welcome, sweetie. Ms. Monica. Welcome, baby. Just going through here and looking at y'all. Okay. Fixing doing some of y'all lipstick. Leah said Jafar Jackson was completely phenomenal. Veronica said King of Pop for real. Miss Monica said his nephew was a perfect cast. Lipstick says I saw it on Thursday at high noon. I feel you. Crazy said I saw it last night and enjoyed it, but it did feel a tad bit rushed. But I understand there was so much to cover in such a small time frame. She says, Miss Monica says, I remember watching Motown 25 and watching Michael actually doing the moonwalk across the stage. Honey, it blew all of us. It blew all of us away. What are you saying, Wheezy? You could tell Reby, Janet, and Reby didn't sign off on their likeness for the movie, which is said. Okay, yeah, I tried to explain that as best I could and keep it high. Marlon's twin passed. Yes, yes. Hey, baby. A horoscope said, I read somewhere there's going to be a part two that is out there in the streets. Okay. Okay, you said, I love me some Jackie. That man is in his 70s and I still would date. She said, I still would date him. Okay, Wheezy. um, so again, this is my honest review. Jafar, if you ever see this, you did a great job. You made me so proud. So proud. And I look forward to seeing you in part two. Y'all let me know if you have seen it. Let me know down in the comment section. Let's keep the conversation going there on what you all thought about this movie. Thank you so much for being here. And if you have not already done so, go ahead on the like, comment, and subscribe to the channel and turn your notification bells on so that every time I go live, you go live right along with me. But until we meet again, y'all be safe out there in those streets and in the water. Bye, y'all.